I'll be speaking about the simile of the cloth. So that's a sutta in the middle-length discourses of the Buddha. It's a very beautiful, wonderful sutta, and it talks a little bit. It talks about many things, but I thought I would like to continue a bit our topic from Sunday and talk a little bit more about understanding the mind. And this is a beautiful simile because, and I've also mentioned it Sunday, comparing the mind to a cloth that is either clean or not so clean. And I want to start with the sutta first because it has a very uplifting tone to it, and I most definitely invite you to, while I'm speaking, while I'm talking, and while I'm reading the sutta and explaining it, I'm in fact inviting you to start with the meditation already, and start with the feeling of love inside your heart. And this in fact will help you. It will help you be present to the Dhamma as I'll be speaking about it. Enough of the introduction. Okay, this is at Savatthi, like a lot of the suttas, at the main monastery at Anathapindika's grove. And there, the Buddha said this to the monks. Monks, suppose a cloth were defiled and stained, and a dyer dipped it in some dye, whether blue, yellow, red, or carmine. It would look poorly dyed and impure in color. Why is that? Because of the impurity of the cloth. So too, when the mind is defiled, an unhappy destination may be expected. And this is, Trista, is it possible to mute everybody? I'm hearing some noise. Good. Thank you. Good. And so this is also referring to the first two verses of the Dhammapada, which is one of the most popular books of the Pali Canon. And it is saying, Manopubam Gamma Dhamma Manosatta Manomaya. The state of our mind dictates whether we're going to take wholesome actions or unwholesome actions. So the mind is the leader, is the guide for everything that we do. And the Buddha reminds us of that here. And so if the mind is impure, well, everything that we will do will be tainted by these stains. Monks, suppose a cloth were pure and bright, and a dyer dipped it in some dye or another. It would look well dyed and pure in color. Why is that? Because of the purity of the cloth. So too, when the mind is undefiled, clean, a happy destination may be expected. And so these stains in the mind, which we'll go through in a few seconds, are not for our own good. They're not helping us be happy. They are called also the hindrances. But they're not just the hindrances to meditation. They are hindrances in our lives in general. They are hindrances to our own happiness and well-being. And so whatever we do, if our mind is clean, if our mind is calm and joyful, everything that we do will just reflect that. And what, monks, are the imperfections that defile the mind? Covetousness and unrighteous greed, are imperfections that defile the mind. Ill will, anger, resentment, contempt, insolence, envy, avarice, deceit, fraud, obstinacy, rivalry, conceit, arrogance, vanity, negligence are all imperfections that defile the mind. And I would even say that this list is rooted in the five hindrances, and whether it is wanting outwardly all the time for something. The wanting mind isn't in fact content. It's not content with what is right now because it's wanting something. And so it's hard to be at peace when there's that. And when there's wanting and something happens and we can't get it, then sometimes we react with the opposite. We are repulsed. We push it away. Aversion or anger, ill will. And these states arise like this. And resentment, insolence, envy, avarice is all really coming all from the same place. It's not very complicated. And I would even say worry and stress, and all these states are rooted in the mind. And to understand properly these states is very important. The Buddha's teaching is about understanding the mind, and it's about understanding Dhamma, the way things work. And so we try to understand how is that? How does it come to be? And these states are conditioned. They are conditioned within our psyche through our whole life. And from the moment we were born and growing up as a child and whatever life experiences we had because of past conditions that brought us there, we experienced some situations where we had where we wanted things and where we developed attachments to some things, and we've developed dislikes for others, and these things they pile up and we accumulate them, and the Buddha said it's like drawing a line. Some of them are ephemeral, it's like drawing a line on the water. Some of them is like drawing a line on the sand, it stays a little bit longer. And then some of them is like drawing a line on the rock. And then these are embedded in our psyche. Because we fail to see how the mind works. Because we fail to see these conditioned patterns that we cultivate without really knowing. And here comes the wonderful depth of the Buddha's teaching, is knowing that covetousness and unrighteous greed are imperfections that defile the mind. A monk abandons it. Knowing that ill will, anger, resentment, contempt, insolence, envy, avarice, deceit, fraud, obstinacy, rivalry, conceit, arrogance, vanity, and negligence, all these unwholesome states are all imperfections that defile the mind. A monk abandons them. And now it's not only to recognize them. Recognizing them is the first step. And these states are never our friends. They're never going to help us. Being resentful for something, stress and worry and anxiety and obstinacy and rivalry. In fact, these are stains in our lives. And the Buddha's teaching is to recognize this and I would even say for our true meditation purpose. These states come with tension in our body and within our minds. And as we grow increasingly aware of that, we learn to detach from it. We learn to let them go, because that is the core of the Buddha's teaching, is to actually let go of these states. It's not just to be aware of them. There's an active step in it. We call it right practice or wise practice. That this is like the verb, the action verb of the path. And as we learn to see them with wisdom, see these unwholesome states, and understand that they are not for our own good, then we can, in fact, let them go. And that's very important, is when we understand that these states are hurting us, harming us, we just let them go. And this is what the Buddha called wisdom. And when a bhikkhu or a monk has known that covetousness and unrighteous greed are imperfections that defile the mind, and has abandoned it, when a monk has known that ill will up to negligence is an imperfection that defile the mind, and has abandoned it, he acquires unwavering confidence in the Buddha. Thus, the Blessed One is accomplished, fully awakened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime knower of the worlds, incomparable leaders of persons seeking peace, teacher of devas and humans, awakened and blessed. Now, this is taking quite a step, but as we learn to see these states through meditation, most importantly, but in our day-to-day life all the time, in all of our actions, and we get to really see and point out, yeah, this is not for my own good, and this is only bringing me more pain, more suffering, then we let them go. And at the beginning it might not be that obvious, but as we keep doing, keep practicing, worry arises. Letting it go, not taking it so personally, not taking it so seriously. It's just the mind. Why does the mind keep on wandering? That's a good question. Did I do it? Did I say, oh, my mind hasn't been wandering for a while, I should do it now? No, it's just happening. It's just a conditioned habit of the mind. And all these states are conditioned habits when they arise, because we have developed them unconsciously, unfortunately. And so when we learn to detach from them and let them go more and more and continually, this does not happen today or tomorrow. It happens all the time, slowly, 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 and then it slowly gets better. And to a point where our wisdom becomes much sharper and much better. And then we start realizing, this is true. The Buddha's teaching is true. All these states are in fact not for my own good. And the more I let them go, the happier I become. And then we truly get to experience what is mentioned here, unwavering confidence in the Buddha. Because now we understand, yes, this is true. This is the path. He acquires unwavering confidence in the Dhamma thus. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha, visible here and now, immediately effective, inviting, upward leading, to be experienced by the wise for themselves. Nobody can do this for you. You have to do it on your own. You are your own master. And that's what the Buddha kept saying. And so the Dhamma, this teaching is for you to realize, is for you to try and understand, for you to apply. And it is not delayed in time, it is akaliko, not affected by time. Sanditiko, directly visible. When there's tension, there's anger arising, there's tension, it's not a happy state. Then we see this and we let it go, we relax. Just like the Buddha said, relax, let it go. Then relief arises immediately. And so this teaching is immediate. And it doesn't take a lifetime or 40 years of meditation to experience it. We can see it here and now. Now the profound conditionings in the mind might take it a little bit longer, but depending on the effort that is put in, a lot of progress can be made only in 7 days. And he acquires unwavering confidence in the Sangha thus. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciple is practicing the good way, practicing the straight way, practicing the true way, practicing the proper way. It's all fact. There's anger arise. There's no happiness. Let it go. Relief. It is very straightforward. No rites or rituals or blind beliefs or dogma involved. It's only direct experience. This Sangha of the Blessed One's disciple is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutations, an unsurpassed field of merit for the universe. And when one has given up, expelled, released, and abandoned and relinquished all these imperfections of the mind, or in part, he considers thus, I am possessed of unwavering confidence in the Buddha. And he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. Now, a person who sees that their personality has started changing, and this is not just progress in meditation, this is personality in real life change for the better. And one sees that at some point one can contemplate about 5 years ago I would have really gotten angry, and now it doesn't affect me at all. And then someone considers their whole training, how they got there, and how the Buddha's teaching was right. And it's not a blind belief, it's just direct fact. This brings up a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. And here we have this sequence where the 7 awakening factors are explained and put together in a way that we can understand how they work in practical life. And this is called Dhamma Samādhi, or natural collectedness. And this is how the Buddha taught how to get into Samādhi, how to get into collectedness, which is not forcing the mind onto an object. It is actually uplifting it and tranquilizing it and opening it up. And we'll see here. When he is glad, rapture is born in him. When one is rapturous, the body becomes tranquil. Rapture or joy, bliss. One whose body is tranquil feels pleasure. In one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes collected. And so this is how the 7 factors of awakening work together, and how they arise because of the joy of the Dhamma, because of the joy of right practice, because of the joy of abandoning all these unwholesome states that cause us so much tension in our lives. And this is very uplifting. And this is how the Buddha explains how one becomes very uplifted and happy, and it is the nature of the mind to become tranquil and collected at that time. It's very open and bright. He considers thus, I am possessed of unwavering confidence in the Dhamma. And he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. When he is glad, joy arises in him. For one who is joyful, the body becomes tranquil. For one whose body is tranquil, feels pleasure. In one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes collected. Once again, the Dhamma Samādhi sequence here. Very important. And this is why I chose to read the sutta before, is hopefully you can feed off of the Dhamma here and gain inspiration in the meaning and inspiration in the Dhamma, that this Dhamma is wonderful and uplifting and happy. And then it is very easy to flow into meditation. This is why I choose this formula here. And continue to hold the loving kindness as much as you can. He considers thus, I am possessed of unwavering confidence in the Sangha. And he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. When he is glad, joy arises in him. For one who is joyful, the body becomes tranquil. One whose body is tranquil feels pleasure. In one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes collected. And the Sangha, thinking that this pool of people are practicing the complete relinquishing of these unwholesome states constantly. Perhaps some are not, but the majority are. And just to recollect this, that there are so many people who are actually devoting their whole life to this practice, bumping their toes on a door sill and choosing to radiate love to all living beings instead of swearing, or to choose to, even if someone would insult them on the street walking for alms or something, they would only reply with love and compassion. And this completely breaks the cycle. This completely changes the chain. And so when we recollect this, we can remember and become very uplifted by the wholesome potency of the Sangha. He considers thus, the imperfections of the mind have in part been given up, expelled, released, abandoned and relinquished by me. And he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. When he is glad, joy arises in him. In one who is joyful, the body becomes tranquil. One whose body is tranquil feels pleasure. In one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes collected. This is meditation. This is the way to meditation. And as we do this constantly, letting go of anger, letting go of content, letting go of worry, letting go of anxiety, letting go of fear, letting go of anger, letting go of all these unwholesome states, we become very happy. Looking back, we can only see that we are walking a wonderful path. And it is very easy to enter meditation. Monks, if a monk of such a virtue, such a state, or any person, it's not only monks here, he's talking to monks, but this is anybody, this can be you, completely. Of such a state of collectedness, of such wisdom, eats alms food consisting of premium choice hill rice along with various sauces and curries, even that will be no obstacle for him. This is one of the probably the hardest or the highest temptation in a monk's life is the one meal a day and what they're gonna get. So that's why he's mentioning that here. And some people are really craving for the next meal. Tomorrow, oh, I have this alms offering, or I have this coming, and they usually give me this or that kind of food, and this is in fact impeding them from experiencing this complete joy, complete radiant, open happiness. And whenever something, a longing outside arrives, comes in, it is pulling us out of this. So that's why he's saying this will not be an obstacle for him. Just as a cloth that is defiled and stained becomes pure and bright with the help of clean water, and just as gold becomes pure and bright with the help of a furnace, so too if a bhikkhu of such virtue, such a state of meditation and wisdom, eats alms food consisting of choice hill rice along with various sauces and curries, even that will not be an obstacle for him. Now this is one part of the right effort or wise practice, and now the second part is explained. The first part is to abandon the unwholesome states, but we don't stop there. This is one part of it. Now, when we abandon these unwholesome states, we also cultivate wonderful, wholesome states. So this is a two-step process: abandoning tension and unwholesome states, and cultivating and bringing up wholesome ones. And the most wholesome feelings that we can bring up are the Brahma Viharas: love, compassion, joy, and calm. And these done boundlessly, as we will see. Then he abides pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with boundless love, or loving kindness. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above, below, around, and everywhere, and to all as to himself. He abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with boundless love, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Now every time that I teach or guide loving kindness instructions, now you know where I'm taking it from, and I always try to stay very close to these instructions, because these are the exact instructions that the Buddha gave. And this little sequence here is very important, and it contains many very important aspects to it. And this feeling of love has to be open. It has to be to all living beings in all directions, and to oneself and to all living beings. Because this is how we practice the right way, this loving kindness or boundless love. because the mind becomes open. We open up the mind. We practice our generosity at the same time. And it is boundless. And this is the state of the mind which we want to cultivate. A completely released mind. It's metta cetto vimutti. It's the liberation of the mind through boundless love. And he goes through the other Brahma Viharas. He abides pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with compassion, and then with a mind imbued with joy, with a mind imbued with radiant calm. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to himself, he abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with radiant calm, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. We start with the love because it's a much stronger and more recognizable feeling. If we were to start with equanimity or radiant calm, sometimes we think our mind is that we are aware, but the mind is in fact wandering because it is a subtler state. And it is a good practice to start with the loving kindness and to go through the Brahma Viharas as they calm down, and then we make sure that we practice all of them properly. But in any case, someone can just choose to practice any of these 4. Then he understands thus: there is this, there is the inferior, and there is the superior. There are unwholesome states, and there are wholesome, uplifting states. And beyond there is an escape from this whole field of perception. Now this is talking about Nibbana. As we move through them up to calm, and the mind becomes very, very bright, very open, very still and pure. And one can see through proper practice as continuously releasing the tension. Even the smallest movements of the mind at this point in deeper meditation will calm down, and we will get to see the mind and its arising, its origination, and we get to see the deeply rooted seeds that arise as tiny, tiny mental movements. And as we get to see this, we understand that these are our perceptions, these are our concepts, these are the beginning of thoughts. And we even learn to let these go. And this is extremely blissful. Not an excited kind of bliss, but a very radiant, peaceful bliss. And when someone relinquishes or relaxes all these tensions, these little tiny movements, there is what we call the release, nirodha, and nibbana occurs. And this is the state of the mind that has completely gotten rid of any kind of movement, any kind of concept, ideas, feelings, opinions. It is so clear and bright, it kind of disappears for a moment. And we can only know this state once we come out of it, because there is no more present awareness in that state. There is just complete release. And when we come back, there is this moment where we realize that I was gone for a little while, and great happiness, great bliss occurs. When he knows and when he understands and sees thus, his mind is liberated from the inclination to outward desires. It is so blissful, it is so happy. Now someone really gets to see the Dhamma to the deepest end, and there's nothing better at this point. And there is no more inclination to projecting in the future, no more making plans. There's so much happiness right here and now. There's no need to make plans. It's useless. And the inclination to negligence, there is no more being negligent, because there is such happiness and relief in this state. Any negligence would feel terrible. It would feel these states come around by care and attention and opening and forgiving and accepting and purifying the mind. Any kind of negligence at this point would seem very coarse and hurtful. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge it is liberated. So this is how liberation happens. He understands unwholesomeness is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of conceit. Monks, this monk is called one bathed with inner bathing. And this is looping back to the beginning, the simile of the cloth. The inner purification of our mind cloth, bathed in inner bathing. And now this Brahmin, Sundarika Bharadvaja, is sitting close by and hears this, and there's a strong tradition that ritual bathing purifies wrong actions and wrong deeds. And here he goes and asks, but does Master Gotama go to the Bahuka river to bathe? Why, Brahmin, go to the Bahuka river? What can the Bahuka river do? Master Gotama, the Bahuka river is held by many to give liberation. It is held by many to give merit. And many wash away their wrong actions in the Bahuka river. Then the Blessed One addressed the Brahmin Sundarika Bharadvaja in stanzas. Bahuka and Adikaka, Gaya and Sundarika too, Payaga Sarasati, and the stream Bahumati. These are all streams, rivers. A fool may there forever bathe, yet will not purify dark deeds. Bathing in water has nothing to do with purifying the mind. Purifying the mind has to do with letting go of anger, letting go of ill will, letting go of pride. Water cannot purify the mind. What can the Sundarika bring to pass? What the Payaga? What the Bahuka? They cannot purify an evildoer or a wrongdoer. A man who has done cruel and brutal deeds, we can wash in any kind of water. If we have killed, if we have stolen, if we have told lies, these will simply keep chasing us. There is no miracle. One pure in heart has evermore the feast of spring, the holy day. One fair in act, one pure in heart, brings his virtue to perfection in practice. It is here, Brahmin, that you should bathe, to make yourself a refuge for all beings. And if you speak no falsehood, nor work harm for living beings, nor take what is offered not, with faith and free from avarice, what need you go to Gaya? For any well will be your Gaya. And so this is what the Buddha said. And on these wise words, I invite you to close your eyes, and if the loving kindness or the love in the heart has faded away, simply relax and smile, and perhaps bring it back up. And let this sutta, this wonderful discourse, suffuse your mind and heart. How wonderful this teaching is. Let go of any tension in your body. Just be at ease in a posture in which you feel comfortable. And smile from the gladness in the meaning, gladness in the Dhamma. Remember that relaxing tension in the body and in the mind will help you bring up the loving kindness, the love in your heart. And the love in your heart will also help you relax. These two work miracles together on the mind. And as soon as you feel like you can, as soon as you feel you are able to feel the love for yourself within your body, then let it shine out everywhere in front of you and behind, to your left and to your right. This can be done step by step, or if you feel like it, you can do it all at once, above and below, across and everywhere. This is how the Buddha taught. And if all kinds of distractions arise, don't bite the hook. Just let them go. Relax. See the tension it brings into your mind. If you're thinking about something tonight or tomorrow, it just arises on its own. Did you ask it for it to come up? Not really. It just did. So don't take it too personally. If worry arises, just let it go. Recognize it for what it is. It just popped. It just arose. Did you tell yourself, oh, I haven't felt worried for a long time, I should do it now? No. It just arose. You didn't really ask for it. So don't take it so seriously. Just let it go. Don't make a big deal out of the distractions in the mind. Simply continue the practice. Let go, relax, and come back to the loving kindness with a smile. The beginning, the loving kindness might be a little harder to start. It's like starting an old 2-stroke engine. Takes a little bit of elbow grease and effort. Maybe you need to bring up an object, pull the cord again. Something that is uplifting and bringing love into your mind. And the mind becomes distracted again, and same, just relax, release it, and bring up the loving kindness again. As we continue, we persist, we endeavor in practicing this wise practice. The loving kindness starts to stick. And this happens with practice, with determination. And then we start to take pleasure in this kind of happiness. Because love is happiness. Or it is certainly one way we can experience happiness in this world. Blameless happiness. If the mind is saying, why am I practicing this? This is fruitless. Don't listen to the mind. This is not a good advice. Just let go and release. In fact, this is just another distraction. This is anger, discontent, just arising, resurfacing. Just let it go. Not gonna make your life any better. And come back to the love and the smile. This wise effort, wise practice, has 4 steps. One is being aware of tension when it arises. That's the first one. The second is to let go and to relax, to abandon that tension. The third is to come back to the loving kindness with a smile. And the fourth is to carry this loving kindness, to protect it as long as we can, to help it grow, mature, to stay. So that means repeating these 4 steps every time there is a distraction. from that warm, radiant feeling in the center of your chest, that feeling of love, spreading through your whole body and oozing outward, beaming outward in all directions. Cultivate this liberation of mind through boundless love. And smile. This is a happy meditation. Happy Samādhi. Like the Buddha has explained so well in this sutta. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipattiya Buddhang Pujami. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipattiya Dhammang Pujami. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipattiya Sanghang Pujami. It is by our practice of the Dhamma, in accordance with Dhamma, with virtue, that we truly pay homage to the Buddha. It is by our own practice of the Dhamma, in accordance with the Dhamma, with goodness, that we truly pay homage to the Dhamma. It is by our own practice of the Dhamma, in accordance with Dhamma, with goodness, that we truly pay homage to the Sangha, all of those who have carried on this teaching. And with a heart of love, I invite you to practice generosity in your life. Do not keep this feeling of universal love only to yourself. Share it with others. Share of your smile. Share of your wholesome actions. Do good deeds. Sabba bhavasa karanang upasampada kusalasa upasampada. Not doing any bad deeds, but performing wholesome deeds constantly. This is the Buddha's teaching. And this is very high generosity. And carry this feeling of boundless love and boundless compassion, boundless joy, and boundless calm into all spheres of your life, and you will see how good this feels. And the results of such practice. So if there's no questions, then I will be sharing merits and then leave you to your own lives. Do you have any questions? I'll take that as a... Oh! Hi Trista. Okay, well good. I'll take that as a no question. Everybody's very happy and everybody's ready to continue being happy in their lives. Okay, so let us share some merits and aspiration. And now the way of saying this is not only words, but it's a feeling in the heart. It's very similar. It's the same feeling that we've been cultivating all this time. Bring this boundless love for all beings in all directions while we recite this. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty powers, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a good evening.